Alabama had hundreds of inmates released back into society. What does it all mean when they have no cash, no cell phone, a bus ticket, and an ankle monitor? Attorney John Robbins breaks down our crime of the week. And also, the Super Bowl has come and gone, but there are two great quarterbacks that played in that game. Our sports guru said the media missed the mark when it came to these great quarterbacks and their fathers. I'm Shelia Smoot. The Shelia Smoot Show starts right now. Welcome in to the Shelia Smoot Show. I am Shelia Smoot. Good to have you along today. And it's going to be a great day. It always is when we are able to talk to you, the public. To you, the public. We like doing that. I like doing that. I've been doing it for a long, long time. And so I'm very excited that you're joining me because we're not suckers. We are consumers, and that's what this show is about. First of all, I want to make sure that you know about 5 ways to dig yourself out of trouble. Debt trouble. We're going to have a series of shows of this magnitude because I need to give you homework every week. And when I give you homework, we can come back and talk about it at some point, but I need to give you homework every week. And so this is going to be somewhat of a homework exercise that you have. And this is 5 ways to dig yourself really out of debt trouble. Number 1, break your debt into small pieces. Generally, pay off credit card debt with the highest interest rate first. First of all, you shouldn't get one with high interest rate, but with the way these rates are going now, you just got to regulate that and don't overspend because you know what? It can get going real fast. You can spiral down real fast. And I don't want you to do that. So we want you to generally pay off credit card debt with the highest interest rate first. But if you don't need it, don't buy it. Repeat, if you don't need it, don't buy it. You do get into buying, so you do need it sometimes. But if you got extra cash, go on out and pay down the debt. And like me, get extra income, residual income. A book I want to tell you about, Robert G. Allen. It is a residual income book. It's Robert G. Allen. And I used to carry that book all the time because it talks about so many different ways that you can get residual income. With that residual income, you can pay down these debts. And no longer can you really just sit at home and just do a 9 to 5, 8 to 5. And then some of you are just sitting at home and working from home. And then you don't do anything else. And then you're like, oh, woe is me. I have all this debt. Well, you got to at least have a 2-income family. And if it's just you, you might want to just have have 2 incomes. And you don't have to do anything that's hard, folks. You don't have to do anything that's hard. Have your bread and butter job and then go ahead and get something you like to do, Maybe you could teach a class. Maybe you can, and all these universities are always looking for instructors to teach your skill. Maybe you like photography, or maybe you like sewing, or maybe you like teaching people how to be on their computer. And you can have that as a class. Maybe you like doing that. Well, you can make money from that, Pay yourself first, then pay down your debt, okay? Number 2. Track every bit of your spending. Do you know what? My Starbucks bill was just getting ridiculous. I felt like I had stock options. I really did. I felt like I had stock options. Because, Starbucks is like, as my dad said, why do you buy that expensive cup of coffee? And at that time when he was alive, I'm like, yeah, why do I? And I talk about that scenario a lot because I had to ask. I don't know. It's kind of a cool cup. Get your little sleeve. Get your little stopper. Green tea latte, matcha green tea latte. No whip, no foam. 1 Splenda, stirred, not shaken. Hot. Skim, 2%. Maybe I just like talking to myself at the window or something about making the order. But when I added up my bill, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I literally was going to Starbucks in the morning, then in the evening. That's twice a day. $4.65 a cup plus tax. $5.35. That's $10 roughly. Roughly $10, $11 because I always tip. So that's roughly about $12 a day. Think about that. 5 days a week because, I had to get into my work mode. But then there was the weekend. I'm like, I'll treat myself. Relax inside. Man, that bill was so high. I'm sorry, I love you, Starbucks, but I had to cut you out of my life. Number 3, don't miss any payments. Now, my husband's always on me about this. Don't miss any payments. Okay, I know I have it. Running. Don't miss any payments. They get you. And if they're like, oh, you're late. No, I'm not late. Well, you pay a day after. They're going to charge you $25. But you're not late because you're not 30 days late. But they're going to get you because what? They're there to do what? To make money, to spend yours. Don't let anybody spend your money. That's why I don't take anybody shopping with me, kids included. That has to be a special trip because I have to budget for them. I only have one. Thank God she doesn't even want me to go shopping, and I don't want her to go shopping with me either. Why? Because you're not going to spend my money. And number 4, as I talked about, boost your income. Working extra hours or getting a part-time job on the side can give you more cash to pay off your debt. I talked about that. Multiple streams of income. Do what you like. Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, clean somebody's house, make somebody some clothes, go work at a restaurant, go work at a hospital, work from your computer, write press releases, shoot this show. Yeah, the guy shooting this show. We work together a lot. And step number 5, get help as soon as you see trouble. Credit counseling is good. Don't talk about it to yourself, folks. I mean, you can't get yourself out. Talk to somebody. This is a mental health break. Finance can run you into a wall if you can't handle it. Finance can run you into a wall. One of the hot topics we like, because we never know what this scenario and this segment is going to bring you. We never know what's going to happen during this week. So, as you know, this segment is Shelia Smoot, John Robbins, attorney at law, crime of the week, where we break down a crime with our local expert, Attorney John Robbins. Now, John does a lot more stuff. He does family law, civil law. He does your traffic tickets, but he does some pretty heavy-duty stuff, and he's had some pretty heavy-duty cases over the years, and he's been a part of this show for a long time. So we are going to get into it. Good morning, John. How are you?
Good morning, Jill. How you doing?
I'm doing really good. I cannot complain.
Send you greetings from Flagstaff, Arizona.
Must be. Is it warm there?
Heck no.
It could be cold in Flagstaff. It could be cold.
I'm looking out into the snow-covered woods up here in Flag. It's kind of cold.
Well, people get confused about Arizona. There are parts that are 80 degrees right now where you sit, but there are in Flagstaff, folks, it gets cold.
It's cold. We're up in the mountains.
Yeah, I've gone through there. I got out of there real quick. It's nothing there. I mean, it's nothing like Arizona where you see nothing for miles and then you'll see this one trailer in the middle of the desert. It's the strangest thing. Have you seen that?
Well, we're going to be going down to the valley later on today to a warmer climate.
Wow.
I'm visiting with 2 of my oldest friends in the world.
Well, I'm glad you're traveling. I am so glad you're traveling. I am. I'm glad you're getting out because the type of cases you've been dealing with, you need a break.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's why you're so good. You get refreshed and you come back and kick everybody's tail.
Yep. Well, we got the we got the preliminary hearing coming up
Okay.
on the Tuscaloosa case.
And what does a preliminary hearing entail?
That's simply a probable cause hearing in which the state is required to present sufficient evidence that a crime has been committed and sufficient evidence that the people charged are probably the likely culprits. But that does not determine guilt or innocence.
Okay, it doesn't determine guilt or innocence, just that
Oh,
there was
absolutely not.
Okay, and your client is
yeah.
the not Darius Miles, who is a former basketball player at Alabama, who that scenario where the young lady was killed on the strip, and it's just been going on and on. It's going to be long, but yours is the other gentleman, is Mr.
Yeah, Michael Davis.
Mr. Davis.
Michael Davis.
Okay, so that's coming up. And John, it's just one of those things, they're kids, technically they're young people
Absolutely.
at the beginning and start of their lives. It's just a very sad situation all the way around for everybody involved who, in a split second, never thought that would occur when you're just going out, just hanging out, being a young person.
Absolutely, but we can talk more about it and a little bit more in depth in a couple of weeks.
Okay, guys, so you want to stick with the Shelia Smoot Show, Attorney John Robbins, Crime of the Meat, because he's got that case. And, again, he can only do so much and say so much. So we're only going to get enough to be said. But at the end of the day, his role for us on this show is to break down scenarios so that you two may understand how the process works. And we appreciate you. Speaking of processes, John, the mass release of the Alabama Bureau of Pardons and Paroles wanted to release over 400 prison inmates. It's called a mass release, and they're calling it a mass release. They were convicted of ranging anything from possession of marijuana and theft to robbery and murder. And the majority were set to end their sentences this year. And all they get, John, is a bus ticket to where they want to go. Some have ankle monitors, but guess what? They get no money, no phone. To me, that's no direction. To me, that's just a disaster waiting to happen. But do they have a right to be released? Because there is a law that was passed in 2021, John, and it did advocate for this, and it is what it is. Talk to me about it.
They were released not necessarily because the Alabama Board of Pardon and Paroles all of a sudden got liberal and got reasonable. They were released, despite the Alabama Board of Pardon and Paroles and some district attorneys kicking and screaming about it. Mm-hmm. But Alabama passed this law, and it's typical Alabama. We pass a law, but we don't have anything in place really to implement it in a reasonable manner.
Right.
We have, I guess I can't say half, but I just did, so you can believe.
We'll bleep you out.
That's typical.
Yeah.
That's typical.
It's okay.
Alabama.
Typical
but
Alabama.
They released everybody that was released was basically going to be released within 8 months. So, and it's not some compassion, and they're just doing it to relieve the overcrowding. Mm-hmm. So
that they created,
trying to prevent the federal government from taking over the prison system.
Mm-hmm. That's really the bulk of it. So they're just going to release this. The problem I have, and the notice, and this is one thing they put out too, by the way, quote, it is anticipated that the bus stations in Montgomery, Mobile, and Birmingham areas will receive the largest number of released inmates. Depending on bus schedules, released inmates may be waiting at the bus station near you for some time. I mean, this is just not how you put people who deserve to be put people back in society. I mean,
you would think that we would invest more in resources like Shepherd's Fold, whose goal is to help take prison inmates, and prepare them to be released back in society. Where we can try to get them a job.
Right.
That they have a home. And that you just dump them on the street with with no resources.
Nothing.
Some of them are going to, fall back into, the criminal justice system. And then everybody's going to say, "See, we can't let people out because they just go back to their criminal ways."
Well, you don't give them a leg to stand on.
Correct. Some of these people that if they don't have a home to go to and they have to be on the street, is that they need food and shelter. What do we expect from human beings?
Right. What do you expect's going to happen? Number one, it was a lot. Go ahead, John.
But I hope the majority of them kind of make it where, it could be an example of is trying to have true, reform in the criminal justice system, because we can't keep locking up people, especially for small drug offense.
Right. For little stuff.
Drug.
Yeah, for the little stuff.
Yeah, we can't keep on that. This costs us too much money. And it's a waste of human talent.
Yeah, and it's better just to educate people than just to incarcerate people anyway.
Yeah. But that's gonna it's gonna take us having some reasonable and insightful legislatures and forward thinking, and then putting resources into to making it successful.
Well, it said that notice that they sent out to local law enforcement was intended to ensure that local law enforcement agencies in these areas are aware. Not prepare, aware. Prepare, aware. Prepare, aware. You do the math. And that recently released inmates, they say, quote, may necessarily congregate in these areas until they are able to board buses to return to their counties of conviction. And according to, you talked about the incarceration rate, according to the department's November's stats report, the last report, there was 17,823 people incarcerated in the Alabama Department of Corrections Systems and Facilities, and the department is designed for, just get this, 12,115. So that overcrowding is real.
It is real, and I bet you they're requiring the released inmates to pay for their electronic monitoring.
What?
I bet you.
No.
I bet you.
How?
Look into it. I bet you that there's a fee for this. I mean, I haven't looked into it, but I would bet.
Yeah, because it's electronic monitoring. I mean, you got to pay somebody to look it over and follow them. I guess when it's electronic, there's got to be the big board there that tells you where beep, 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 where they're going, kind of like your cell phone dings.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's always a cost. It's a money grab, John. It's a money grab. Somewhere there's always a money grab.
Especially in Alabama. Yeah.
Yes, there's a money grab. So get this: the Department of Justice, as you alluded to, by the way, is suing the state of Alabama over their prison conditions. The lawsuit filed in December 2020 followed an investigation that started in 2016 that it was just the conditions were bad and the overcrowding was ridiculous. And now they are trying to build some new facilities. John, do you think these folks are going to just turn around, get back in trouble just so they can go back? I mean, this is.
I would hope not, and I would think the majority of them are going to really try to, move forward in a responsible way and not return to prison. Mm-hmm. I mean, nobody wants to go to an Alabama prison.
No. And John, honestly, with all due respect, we must know that there's got to be a better way, and it's rehabbing these folks. But you certainly don't. And last question I'm going to ask: you don't turn people back into society in this day and age without money, transport,
resource.
some resource. How about sending them back to maybe a halfway house, or calling the Salvation Army, calling a local church, calling a local agency that they want to, because right now you also have set up another homelessness problem. And folks, and people are on the street homeless who have just been incarcerated and they get out. You have literally, the law meant well, but in that law it should have been some sort of resources, and hopefully we can talk to some lawmakers and ask them about, are they going to put another amendment to this bill so that when you get out, you get 2 hots in a cot, for God's sake. I mean, at least that.
Something, yeah. But those are discussions for a later day.
Yeah, do they have rights, John? Last question I'm going to ask you of the day. Do these folks have any rights? Can they come back and sue the Alabama Department of Corrections?
No. I mean, do we have a right? I mean, do you have a right to be treated equally?
Okay.
But there's not going to be a right that the state has to give you money and a place to stay.
Because they already did that, huh? They already did that when you were incarcerated.
And they're never going to. That's never going to happen.
They already fed you and clothed you and bathed you and everything, so now you're on your own.
I mean, because if that was a right, we would have a class action for all the homeless people.
Yeah, that's true. Well, John Robbins, Crime of the Week. Hey, we're going to keep checking in with you, and thank you so much. Enjoy your time in Flagstaff, Arizona, because I think on this day of air, it's warm here.
Well, it's warm there, but we're going to go down to some warm weather in a little bit. But anyway.
All right,
You
John.
have a great week.
Okay, we'll talk to you soon. Thanks a lot. You be safe.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. John Robbins, Crime of the Week, and it is time for my next guest. And I'm going to lock my next guest in. And, it's always good to have Philip Turner on our air. And, Philip, I know you don't go by that, so your stage name is, drum roll, please. His stage name is the Sports Guru, Phil Turner. Phil Turner.
Hello, how you doing today?
I'm great, and we are excited to have you because at the airing of this show, it is Super Bowl, and Jalen Hurts with the Eagles and Patrick Mahomes with the Kansas City Chiefs. It's like nobody else is playing because they don't mention anybody else's name. Why is it always the quarterback, Sports Guru?
Quarterbacks are the superstars. I guess they get all the women, make the most money, so everybody loves the winner. That's why the quarterbacks are always in the spotlight.
Yeah, but you got running backs, wide receivers. I like a guy who can catch the ball, for real. I just like, that is just so amazing. Just the movement and the catching of the ball and just the whole energy, like, in your face. I got you. Ugh. But the quarterback's like, bam, I got you. Hey, that's cool. Yeah, they just too chill for me.
I do know the wide receivers, a lot of them, they take ballet and gymnastics. You might remember back in the day,
yes,
Lynn Swan took ballet and gymnastics. And we got the Slim Reaper, Devontae Smith, so they have to be doing something to be that graceful and elegant.
Social commentary on father and the two fathers that raised these boys here, these young men, to be football stars, and now the first time playing together in the Super Bowl. You said there was something that was bothering you about the fact that the media wasn't covering these fathers who raised these great young men. Talk to me about it.
Yes, as we mentioned earlier, Mark Ingram won the Heisman Trophy here in Alabama, and they kept mentioning his father going to federal prison for money laundering and fraud, as well as Kareem Hunt, who recently played in the Super Bowl with the Kansas City Chiefs. His father had 35 counts of domestic violence, and all you are hearing is how bad the fathers were. They come from a bad background, and these kids have overcome. But I think the mainstream media has missed the ball this time.
I agree.
Patrick Mahomes Sr. played baseball for years and years and years in the major leagues and in Japan. Always had his son with him. Similar to Jason Tatum now, who plays for the Boston Celtics. He always has his son Deuce with him. He's about 5 years old. You could see him last night on TV.
I did see him. He's just like his dad. He looks just like him. A mini Deuce.
Just like him, mini Deuce. Yeah, but they are leaving out this coverage, and it bothers me a great deal because these are great stories to be told. Let's talk about Jalen Hurts' father, Avrion Hurts. Now, you guys might not know, the audience, that Jalen has an older brother that played for Texas Southern for 2 years at the quarterback position. Now, his father has been coached at Channelview High School for about 10 to 12 years, coached both brothers. And also his mother, by the way, works at the same high school as a teacher, special education math teacher. So both these kids have had strong fathers, strong family backgrounds. That's important, especially the generation that we are in now. Several kids don't have strong fathers, but you can find maybe male role models. And I hate that that's been left out of the commentary, because in 2005 we said, well, maybe we're going to have a lot of black coaches to coach against each other in the Super Bowl. We had Tony Dungy as well as Lovie Smith. They coached each other in 2005. We haven't had that since. So we don't want this to be an occurrence, a rare occurrence again, 2023 with African American quarterbacks. And we're not being playing the race card, because you also have the Kelsey brothers, who have a person on each side. Travis Kelsey plays for the Kansas City Chiefs, and Jason Kelsey plays for the Philadelphia Eagles. So this is the first time you've had two players on opposing teams in the Super Bowl. They should let the mother come out and toss the coin. That would only be fair, wouldn't it?
Well, no.
So this could be good.
I do think that the media has missed the mark, and oftentimes they do want to portray the bad, and the bad turned good, and now look. I mean, it's a poetic story in their mind, but the story you want is that these two young men have had great family upbringings. They've had great fathers. We've had great people, and in that regard, I think the media did miss the mark on the coverage of these young men who maybe didn't come from such a bad background. I mean, everybody doesn't come from a bad background, and bad backgrounds, and the story did. I'm the person that loves the movie Willy Wonka, because he got the golden ticket and he ended up being the hero, and then he shared. I am that person who likes to see a feel-good story. But like you said, Sports Guru, like you said, they did miss the mark on reporting and talking about the background of a Jalen Hurts and a Patrick Mahomes, and how excellent their dads were in their life. And I got a dad sitting here right now. He's excellent. But sometimes his son wants to ride with me. I'm just kidding. Sports Guru, the Sports Guru, Phil Turner. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for having me.
All right.
Bye-bye.
All right. You've been listening to the Shelia Smoot Show. I am Shelia Smoot. It's good to have you along. And I hope you learned something today. I sure did. But remember, as always, don't be a sucker. Be a consumer. We'll see you next week.